Welcome to No Such Thing as Normal podcast with Natalie Hayes and Jess McKeown.
This is a casual podcast where we talk about all the things you're not supposed to talk about in order to help you normalize your real life, because really we're all just a bunch of weirdos having a completely human experience in a society that asks us to pretend like we're not.
And I'm your host, Jess, a gifted spirit baby medium who facilitates deep soul healing by channeling divine messages.
I'm your other host, Natalie, an intuitive mentor and transformative healer.
Be sure to subscribe where you listen to podcasts, watch our 100% unedited episodes on YouTube, and you can follow us on IG at McJaguar and at Intuitively Natalie for more weirdo and woo-woo content.
Yes. And if you like this episode, please rate and review or share it to your social media pages so that others can unleash their weird with you.
Yes. I mean, I love when people share like podcasts that they're listening to.
Oh, I know. I like those recommendations because there's just so many podcasts.
So many. I know, but it's fun. And it's our last episode, which was our live episode, didn't upload the video. And of course I had people like messaging me like, where's the video, yo? So guys, hello to our YouTubers.
Well, I hope this one uploads, Jess. Like my computer
Fingers crossed.
Not let me properly download the video. So I don't know what to say about that.
You know, a lot of times when things like that happen in life, and like sometimes I'll record sessions and they like don't record, they go into some mysterious space and I have to like email a client and be like, but I just didn't. I just also say like, you have to trust that, right? You
gotta let it go.
And what I was doing on that video was showing you how I eat when I'm alone, which is like this. And I was like, maybe that's a good thing that the video didn't come out. No,
maybe you subconsciously manifested it.
I am very powerful. So
you are very powerful. It is not lost on me that this is our 22nd episode and the final episode of our first season. And we're talking about 2022.
Ooh, we didn't even plan that.
We didn't. No. And 22 is a master number. So I'm excited.
See, I like to do that too with my life, and to like, sometimes when I'll like look back on a week or look back on a pattern or read old astrology reports, I'm like, yes, that did happen. Because sometimes we're not always aware of the synchronicities, but holy crap, the synchronicities that are coming in for this podcast, for life, for 2022 are just like in our face. So
yeah. And we were just chatting before we started recording about next year being a 6 year, and that correlates with the Lovers card in the tarot.
Lovers.
I have lived in many 6 houses. So they're all about, I know they're about creativity, but what else?
Ooh, well, we were talking about the Lovers card too. And then you just said that there's a temptress on some of the cards, which I was like, what the fuck's she doing there?
Sometimes.
But what I feel like with the Lovers is it's about relationships, and that is coming big for 2022. But it's also about your relationship with yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And that self-love. And like, you can't really, I don't think, love somebody until you know how to love yourself. You can be in a relationship with somebody, but that doesn't mean that you love yourself. And maybe that relationship will teach you how to love yourself. But I think there's a lot that's going to come up for our relationships in 2022. I feel like things are going to shed, things are going to grow. So the things that are no longer serving, they're just going to have to fall away. And they're kind of saying to me already, they're like, oh, I guess we're starting this podcast. Can we start channeling? I'm like, okay. So they're just like coming in. They're saying that the structures that you all know are faulty, they're just going to crumble. And so what they're saying is, if you know that you're in a structurally faulty relationship, make ways to like move out of it so that you don't have to be in a falling down level of the tower, right? So they're showing me the tower card, and they're kind of saying that, you know, you can escape the tower if you kind of are honest with yourself that it's about to fall. Like you feel the shakiness and you're like, it's okay. You're going to be in the big explosion. Right.
Fine.
Right. So I feel that. And then which either makes space for an even better relationship. And then those who are in relationships, tighter, deeper, stronger, like working on your traumas together, healing stuff together, you know, making babies together, growing your families, buying new homes, like really deepening the trust and the level of the relationships. Like I kind of, what they're just saying is like, relationships are no longer like a princess movie, right? Like gotta get one, gotta have a boyfriend, gotta have a girlfriend kind of a thing.
I need him to save me.
Yeah. Right. And it's more about like, why am I with this person? What are they here to teach and show me? Like, we have so many choices to be in or not be in a relationship. So if you are in one, really deepening your reasons why you're together.
Yeah, I really feel that. I also feel like it's very telling that we're starting the year off with a Venus retrograde in Capricorn, literally structures, the sign of structure. And the planet of love and money is going backwards through it.
Just gonna like clear out all those old structures, but in the name of love, right? In the name of beauty, in the name of getting to experience a better version of love and self-love, right?
Yeah, I think so. I really feel that from a 6 year. It's like committing to creation is what my guides are saying. They love to be like, ooh, like they love to say things and then just like leave it open to interpretation.
They like to mic drop and be like,
they're really
go.
profound. Yeah. they're like, it's a commitment to creation next year.
Yeah, I get that too. I mean, humans, we're creative energy, right? We're divine source energy, and source is creation energy. And so are we. And so what are we going to create this year, right? What are we going to do? What are we going to make? What are we going to celebrate? Yeah, I'm excited to see what comes out of 2022. And like, I feel like everybody's a little bit like, though, you know, like,
I mean, well, this year has been fucking wild energetically. Like, I feel like not a ton new has been going on. It's just like everything that was already there and like brought to the forefront in 2020 has just been amplified by these like high vibrational energies that have been hitting the planet since February. I'm like, guys, newsflash, they're not stopping anytime soon. Like, this is your new normal. If you've been feeling extra sensitive this year, extra amped up, extra tired, like you're going to eventually reach that neutrality point, but these energies are not stopping coming in because we're all ascending.
Yes. No, you guys, like, if I don't wear my crystals when I go out in public, I am floored.
I am unwell.
It's horrible. And I am like, oh, that's why those people wear those things all the time. And I have my little pouch on with my crystal in it. And I'm just like, walking around. But I always used to see people like that and like admire them and be like, oh, that's so cool. They have all this like stuff on, never realizing that they were like protecting themselves, because I was always attracted to their energy.
Oh, it's pretty. That's all I thought.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's pretty. But I was like, oh, I get why they're wearing so much stuff now, because they knew way back then, even to protect themselves. So yeah. And I think it's also falling down all the old structures of like how you used to be. And, you know, sometimes it kind of feel like grasping of like, what do I do? How do I do this? How do I figure it out? But just go with love and gentleness. They're saying, you know, call in the support in a loving and gentle way, not in a freaking out way.
Right. And like, how are you creating right now? How, like, this is not, creation isn't like some far off destiny that like maybe one day you'll get to.
Yeah.
Like, your choice about what to eat next is literally creating that experience for you. Your choice of where to go next, your choice of how you feel walking into work that day is going to create the day that you have. So like, you're not working towards creation. You are already creating, and the systems that need to crumble are the systems that you have created that are no longer serving you.
I love that. They're kind of saying like, you guys think you need a sledgehammer, and what you really need is a little pickaxe. Every day, your little choices
make a
kind
choice.
Of create that, versus like the sledgehammer. That's what we think. Oh, I'm making a big choice. And there are sledgehammer moments,
the tower moments,
but the chipping away gets it ready to bust that out with ease,
without the tower moment,
without having to be like, the sledgehammer.
You can't avoid rock bottom.
I'm like asking my guides, I'm like, why do you give me such weird analogies to talk about? And they're just like, oh, it's fun. It like gives people a picture of things. Like, how do we talk about the spiritual cosmic of change? And through pickaxes and sledgehammers.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, lots of analogies to help us through.
We were just chatting about before this started, like how we're both kind of feeling this Venus retrograde energy coming in. It's like, it's kind of going to be a doozy. Like, I'm not going to lie. It's, I read on, if you're not following Rising Woman on Instagram, I think that's the handle. I love the shit she says about like the astrological energies going on. Like she's so spot on with everything. And I posted something this week that she had shared about the upcoming retrograde. And when the time this podcast airs, Venus will have gone retrograde. It's goes on the 19th. So Sunday, with the full moon in Gemini. So fun. We love this.
So fun.
Nobody here is very sensitive, right now or on edge or fighting with their partner? Nobody.
Nobody. I wasn't
energy.
sobbing to Natalie for half an hour before we started recording.
Right.
Not at all.
No, we're not doing that with this energy. Astrology is a hoax. So she said that the vibration that you might feel when Venus goes retrograde is like the lower vibration, which is the damsel in distress. So if the higher vibration, like a Venus direct, is like goddess, empowered, feminine, then this lower vibration, this might be coming up for you, this damsel in distress. And Jess and I were just talking about like all of the conditioning that we absorbed that created this unrealistic expectation in our relationships. Like I just posted today, it's Friday, about like the biggest realization I had in my relationship was that my wife is not a mind reader.
I know. I love that.
And it's honestly true. It's been coming up for me, these like old stories I had told myself that like, I can't do it on my own. I can't. She recently got a new job, so she's gonna be working more hours. So there's just like more stuff for me to handle at home.
Yeah.
And I'm just coming into this realization that like, oh, I don't have to like resist this responsibility. I don't have to be like, oh, come save me. Why aren't you home to do this? Like I am fully capable of handling these things. It's just the conditioning that I had absorbed about like women in relationships that told me that I wasn't able to.
Mm-hmm. And my guys are just chiming in because they're feisty. They're like, and ladies and gentlemen, that's the patriarchy, right?
Hey.
By keeping us in our damsel in distress, they keep us weak and small and, you know, needing men to do things.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we don't, we
Guys,
know that.
I can open a bank account whenever I want,
But yeah, I mean, I think, this is what they're kind of showing me. It's like, what are they, the word, I don't know this word that they're using, but it's like, they're kind of saying they're saying usurped, which is a big fancy word for like, what I like to say is like tossing the apple cart a bit, but like this feeling that like, there is this sensitivity in the feminine, right? There is this desire to receive and to be open and to be, you know, supported by the structure of the masculine, not men and women, but feminine and masculine. Right. And Venus brings that up. So guys might also be in their sensitivities. They might also kind of, I don't know what the guy's version of the damsel in distress is. Do you?
Also a damsel in distress. I married one.
Oh. Right. So they're just like, can you take care of me? Can you make me food? Can you do the lawn, all the like stuff? Right.
Yes.
Right. And that's like their impression of like a traditional, like housewifey woman caring kind of a thing.
It's just a different iteration of what we feel, but same. It's the same.
So I mean, that's really interesting to me, this damsel in distress. And I think when I think about my feelings and how I was sobbing to you before, there is this kind of feeling though that like, have we lived a life where we were more psychic with our partners? Have we been in timelines and understandings where we did have more of a telepathic connection? Like, I feel like that's what I'm missing sometimes.
It's aliens, Jess. It's when we were aliens.
When we were aliens. Sometimes I'll say that to Dan. I'll be like, well, we used to be able to communicate.
We used to be able to do this.
We're going to do it again. Send you things. And I do still do that all the time with him, by the way.
I try.
I'm in a car and I'm like, if you can hear this message, do wiggle your finger. If you can hear me talking right now, do this.
Okay. So I tried, that's funny that you bring this up because I tried this yesterday. I took a walk with my dogs and I was like, look at my older dog B, she has back problems. And like, sometimes I just want to know if she's okay. And she tripped on the walk. I just feel so bad for her. And so I was like walking her and I was looking at her and in my head, I was like, okay, look at me if you're okay. And then my guides were like, she's not going to look at you. She's on a walk. She's going to look at everything else. Like she's distracted. She's not. So I think telepathy is like one part sending, but like mostly are they ready to receive it?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. That's good.
So it's not that we're not telepathic. I think we're just not communicating in the right ways at the right time.
Oh my God. I'm like, please tell me that other people do this. Right. If you can sense me. Okay. Damsel in distress though. You know, it's that, for me, it's that fine line that they were talking about of just, you know, wanting to also be worshiped like a goddess. Right. And I think, like you said, if that's the side, kind of like higher side of it, it's that sensitive part of wanting to be worshiped and loved for the person that we are, that sometimes we don't get that.
I agree.
And that can like upset us.
I agree. And I think that like all of these like movies that we've seen about like relationships about about like romantic relationships that are like cis hetero normative, you know, like a white woman and a white man. And he comes in and he swoops her off her feet and he just knows that like she's going to be home at this time. And he just knows the perfect gift to get her without her having to say a word. It like sets up these unrealistic expectations that we have of our partners. Like,
Yes.
yeah, sometimes they might be able to intuit or like give you the best gift, but like most of the time, no. You have to communicate.
Okay. And see, I find this super fascinating too, because like Netflix has this new Christmas movie. I watch all the trashy Christmas movies. Okay.
I love it. Okay. Which movie is it?
Okay, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a gay couple. It's a gay guy, right? And he like has his best friend.
Is it Single All the Way?
Single All the Way, right?
Okay, we turned it off after 5 minutes. I just couldn't.
Okay, so I didn't turn it off because I'm a horror for trashy stuff. But I was watching it, right? You know, and I was just like, this is a cis hetero story, but they just put gay characters in.
Yes, that's like, why we couldn't watch it.
This is not a real gay relationship. This is not a real gay, like there was no real, like, I don't know, I'm not gay, but I don't know what, like, it didn't feel real gay.
It's not authentic.
And not authentic. It was just like, I don't know, it was like, oh, that's so cool. Like Netflix, go Netflix. Like they're having like a gay couple, like finally, hello, fucking gay people celebrate the holidays and want love too, Netflix.
Surprise. We're all shocked.
So then I watched it and I was just like, boo, you know?
Awful. It was truly god awful.
Yeah. And so I think about that too, that when I see like other, what we're going to say, like the non-dominant white supremacist culture, when they have representation of other people or whatever, it's just like it feels very whitewashed. It feels like, you know, oh, we're trying to be multicultural and diverse and, you know, this and trendy, whatever. But it's like, yeah, but you could just put in
these societal boxes, like still
so
within
like,
2 thumbs down.
2 thumbs down.
2 thumbs down, Netflix.
Watch out, Siskel and Ebert. It's McKeown and Hayes coming for you.
And we hate it.
Yeah. So, but it's hard because, you know, those things are like so fluffy and candy-like and silly and stupid, but yeah, they really do program us over the years.
It's literally called programming. Like, I just think it's hilarious. Yeah. Like they called it programming.
What else for Venus? Oh, here's the other thing that they're saying. What about when people like, they're like, okay, don't get your hair cut or don't change your look, right? Because during like a Venus retrograde, I adhere to those. I do try to get my hair cut. I try not to like change my look during these cycles. And what they're saying to me is not that you're going to get a bad haircut per se or whatever, but you might not love it after this energy is passed, right? You might be like, after she goes, you know, direct, you might be like, ugh, why did I buy that lime green jumpsuit with sparkles?
Don't make like bell bottoms. Permanent decision off of like a temporary emotion.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, like think about tattoos, think about dyeing your hair, that kind of stuff. What do you think about that when people say like, don't do things? I'm always like, let me show you. I think
it's a little bit of fear mongering. Like, I don't think there's any right or wrong. Like if the opportunity comes up and you're like, man, I want to cut my hair today, then there's like something in it for you, whether or not it's a permanent thing.
Yeah, because like maybe you need to experience a bad haircut to like find your
next hairdresser,
have an emotional release, all this kinds of stuff. So I always like to see that stuff as guidelines and suggestions. And like, if it feels right to you, like, yeah, I'm feeling super emotional, I shouldn't ask my hairdresser for bangs, you know. And by the way, you should always have a great relationship with your hairdresser, and you should always let them know like what your thing is. Mine is bangs. So that when you go and you ask for bangs, they need to be like, honey, how are you doing?
Right. Because what's really going on?
Like if I was your hairdresser and you came to me and you're like, I want to be blonde, I'd be like, honey, what's going on?
How's your life?
How's your life? And I feel like hairdressers are like part-time therapists or maybe full-time therapists, who knows? But
I think they are.
Yeah. There's a couple of astrologers I follow that say like, don't do things or do things or whatever. And I don't like that energy. I like the guidance energy, but to your point, we're so unique and individual. And even though there's lots of things going on in the cosmos, like each of us is a unique little snowflake. So
just take like the fear out of it. Like, don't be scared of doing something like, oh, I can't because it's retrograde. Like, actually you can. And if it all falls into alignment, then it's probably aligned for you. And there's probably some lessons to be learned that you're not going to escape. So
I think what my guys are saying is they go, this is kind of where that validity of astrology comes in. Like, the sort of like, I'll listen to it and follow the horoscope if I like it. But if I get like a shitty horoscope, I'm like, astrology's bullshit. Right.
It's dumb. Yeah.
It's dumb. So it's like that thing of like, take it with a grain of salt, but also like it's been studied for thousands of years and it is our planetary system. So, I was reading this other thing the other day too about this. Again, I'm a science nerd. How the fuck is Earth the only planet in our whole solar system that has life on it?
Let me tell you. Oh, I've been bracing for this.
Okay.
And let me know if your guides agree.
Okay.
So all of the other planets had life on them, just in different timelines. So in order to access the timeline that the planet had life on it, you'd have to go through a portal, AKA like a black hole.
Are we talking human life or just like bugs and creatures' life?
I think creatures is a more appropriate word. I don't know that humans have been anywhere else.
Well, because I was reading about like the planets and, like I have this big astrology report that I'm trying to get through. And I was like, okay, yeah, like it was about the sun and the solar flares and everything. And, feeling it on like Mars and, how we would like burn up if we were on Venus and it's like too cold on Mars. And I was like, when I read that, I was like, I've always been like, does anybody else think it's weird that there's 9 other planets around the sun and we're the only one that just happens to be the perfect distance from this glowing star and like water and plants and shit and like nobody else? Like we're all and like people look at me like, whatever, that's weird. But I'm like, there's other planets. Like, you guys, like this is not just a like coinkydink.
Question the narrative. Yeah, I fully think that there was like life compatible for each, planet's landscape and weather, but like not in this timeline. I think it would have, I don't know why not in this timeline, but I have heard that you have to like go through some kind of a portal to get to that timeline where there was life.
Oh yeah. Maybe there's like totally life happening, but we just can't see it or
it's just not in this
it.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. Because why are scientists so curious about finding life on other planets?
Because we don't want to be alone. It's just like, it's the collective wound of loneliness.
It's us and the bugs on Mars.
Right.
Because they're like, there used to be water here. I'm like, great, but there's not now. So
and they're like, we're not alone. I promise we're not alone.
Well, we know we're not alone.
Obviously.
That was a lot of Venus.
It's a lot of Venus. Well, it's kicking off the year. I feel like it's a doozy. There's a lot of planets in Capricorn as we start the 2022 year.
Yes. And that the new moon in Capricorn is on the 2nd of January. So graciously, we get a day to rest if you guys like party on New Year's Eve. And you get a little day of rest. And then January 2nd, and that whole week, it's like fired up, like do your brainstorming, plan your year, kind of get into that groove and that flow, It's funny because I feel that energy too, but my heart wants to start things in the spring because I believe that is like the true new year for me.
Oh, I've heard that it doesn't really start till February. It's like Capricorn is still kind of like wrapping up this like Yule rest, the solstice. Yes. It's like, it doesn't actually start in January. And we're like kind of defying going with the energy by creating all these New Year's resolutions in January.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of balance myself between like, I would say like the Gregorian calendar, right? Where it's like Jan 1 and even just like month by month. Cause I try to do my newsletter by the moon and, but then it's weird because like people, they're already like 3 weeks or 2 weeks into the year when they get a newsletter about the month. And people think about things more in months these days. And so I've been trying to think about like, how can I maybe stay with a system that is calendar? Cause that's just such a strong dominance here, but talk about that within a calendar month, there's competing energies and stuff. Because like I pull cards for the year for us. And I was like, well, do I pull for like winter, January energy for the first card? And they're like, no, pull for spring. And then, and like, then, so that's kind of when it starts, the energy starts. So I probably should have pulled a card for like 2021 winter, but.
No, I think that really makes sense because if you think about like the first house of astrology is traditionally ruled by Aries. Aries doesn't start till like the spring solstice. That's Aries season that kicks off technically the astrological new year.
Yeah. Hello, I'm an Aries. I know this.
Right. So like it makes a lot of sense, guys, that we're still just finishing up winter. No rush January. Let's normalize that.
So what's weird is like in the Southern hemisphere, it's like summer.
Oh, I
What?
can't wrap my head around that.
And like, again, I mean, I'm thinking, are they like winter? You know what I mean?
Right.
Are they like, summer, time to relax, which kind of, it just, and I have family and I've spent, Christmases in Australia, and it is like kind of weird that it's hot and summery.
I don't like that at all. But it's just my conditioning.
Wait, you don't like what? Like
Summery Christmas. I don't like that at all. But it's literally just like growing up in America and the conditioning of like Christmas movies with snow and snowmen. It's just conditioning.
did you have like snow in Texas growing up?
No, but it gets cold. Still gets cold.
You can still wear a scarf and drink cocoa.
As we have learned, if Texas gets snow, the whole state shuts down.
I was wrapping Christmas presents this morning and listening to Let It Snow. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, we don't have anything to do. It's fine if it snows. And when I lived in Ohio and it would motherfucking snow, there were these like brief moments of like, oh, how nice. But like 2 out of like the other 100 of like, fuck, snow.
Now I have to go to
sliding and shoveling and, and then it's like May and there's still snow. So I have like a love-hate relationship with snow. Like I love it in movies. I love it as like a gentle dusting here in Seattle on the trees on Christmas, like a white Christmas. But you're right. Like I was so like, white Christmas, let's have some snow,
It's all conditioning. I know, but it's still romantic. You can still romanticize your life.
It's true. It's true. And I think Dan's going to get me an inflatable toboggan.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, internet. It's like it looks like a jet ski, but it's made out of like inflatable pool toy kind of material.
Yeah.
And then we're going to like go sledding somewhere. I love sledding.
All I can think about is like a hover mat that we use to get like bariatric patients out of a wheelchair and onto the bed. Like that's all I can think of is like vacuum powered hover mat. I don't know what you're talking about. We have it for you.
Imagine a jet ski. You know what those are?
Yeah, like a pool floaty.
Yeah, but imagine it made out of a pool floaty. So there's like a seat, and your legs can go out. I'll send you a picture, and then there's little handles, and then you sled. Whoa!
Is it like gas powered? Is it like electric, or is it just like a pool floaty that just takes sheer momentum and goodwill to get going? Okay.
You need a little, sledding. You need a little shove. Do you have like a powered sled that I don't know about in Colorado? Do you guys do sledding and tubing and stuff? Like, do you have any like New Year's traditions that you're going to do?
Well, normally we get a little blackout, but probably not this year because I'm an adult.
Yeah. I love it.
We had been going over to my wife's sister's house. Like everybody will just go there for the past few years. We've been doing that. So maybe we'll do that, but nobody's really discussed it. And I also like this past year have gotten really into going to bed at 9. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. What do you guys do?
I always pull my cards on January 1st. I really like to be in the energy of the year. And then I pull the whole year. Last year I had pulled from like all my decks, which was fun, but a little chaotic, kind of like last year. This year, I think I might gravitate towards one deck in particular, my Light Seers Tarot. I just love this tarot deck like so much.
Oh yeah.
It's like, this is what people should start with tarot. Rider-Waite is the images. It's harsh. I've taken some tarot classes and they're kind of saying like the imagery is really important in the tarot. So, those are very ancient, old images. And, this has much more updated stuff. But it also has
rooted in Satanism, obviously.
I know, but this has like little mantras at the end of each card. And it just, I don't know. I just love them. So that's probably what I'll do on New Year's Day and probably take it easy. I'm downloading, I have to go into my cocoon time, but I'm downloading what's next for, how I work with people and doing a little bit of an ego death.
Yes.
So Natalie has recommended that I have a funeral on the solstice, which I kind of love.
Yes. Have a funeral.
I think I'm going to have a joyous funeral, a beautiful send off.
Doesn't mean sad. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And just let this next layer of my ego die so that I can better serve. And I feel like that's what's coming for 2022 is I've been getting this message, God, since like maybe September. And I am in a couple different mediumship, groups and intuitive circles. And I just hear this repeated again and again and again. But like, it is time to stop hiding your light. It is time to step into your power. Like my guides are like, how much more can we say this? You know, like they're like, we're just on repeat because we need people to really like stop being afraid and stop being scared and find ways to move through that. You know, that you are good enough, that you are strong enough, that you can do this, that you are worthy, that people do want to hear your message, right? Like it's just so big right now. And I just feel like there's a lot of people holding back, myself included, that in my efforts to kill this ego part, I want to share and hope that other people do the same. So that's part of why it feels even extra big, is I want to be the example that's like, come on, we can do this.
Yeah, I agree. They also say that like how you spend the first day of the new year is very like foreshadowing for how the year's going to go. And like looking back the first day, I think of 2020, we went ice skating. So like fun, but scary also. So I think that was accurate. Very scary, not very, you know, not stable, not a firm foundation. I'm on blades on ice, for Christ's sake, but also fun.
Oh my God.
Definitely imminent. We don't know, but also fun.
But also, yeah, I'm like skating on thin ice.
You're gonna have a great day. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
You may not live through it, but you're gonna have a great.
You may fall through the water and freeze, but it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Do a little pirouette.
I do want to talk about, because I've heard so much about this and it's been coming up, I feel like in droves lately. Natalie Miles, I know she talks about this on her forecast podcast for 2022 energy, but I've seen it come through in other ways that like, there's going to be some giant cyber attack that's going to like take down the fucking internet. So we've been like mentally preparing, like, okay, if the internet goes down, like, do we have some kind of a contingency plan? Like, what are we going to do? How are we going to cope? And you know what? My guides are like, why do you think we've been having you watch Gilmore Girls? Like they didn't have internet.
My God.
They were fine.
That's so funny. Well, okay. So I feel the same thing as well. And the other day, I think it was like a transistor blue. Do you know, like when you hear like a big pop? And so I was in here and I heard this big pop and then like everything went out. Oh my God. Like all the power went out. And it was like a really intense flash. It scared me so bad. I was like getting really nervous. Dan was like, breathe, it's okay. Breathe. And then I kind of like flickered and then it came back on. But the intensity of that, like the emotional impact. Cause I had the same exact thought. I was like, oh my God, they could kill our power, our internet, everything like that, like with a boom, and it could all be gone. And I was like, I have no plan for if the internet goes out. Yeah, none. I mean,
and I think the internet like runs pretty much everything. So like if the internet goes out, if they're like, oh, this mega virus is coming to attack all the computers, we have to shut it all down. Like, does that also take down your electricity? Does it also take down like your heat? Like, I don't really know how involved it is. It shows you how much like stock I put into things, but I feel like that is going to be a theme, actually. Cybersecurity, cyber attacks. I think it is going to be coming. I just don't know like why. Like, why is this a theme for next year? Oh my God, my guides are like, okay, well, why do you think we're having you like firm up your foundations? Like, why do you think we're having you do that? What if we took away all of these external distractions? What if you were just left with you and your partner in your house?
Kind of like what the pandemic did for a lot of us too, right?
But you won't have Zoom. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Natalie and I will just go out and talk to ourselves for the podcast.
Should we get like an intuitive sign? Like if everything goes out, oh my God, I thought about this yesterday. Okay. So if everything goes out and you want to know if I'm okay, I'm going to send a bird to come and look at you and you will just know. You will know. Okay. If you don't see the bird, I'm not okay.
Okay. That's good to know. I'll be like, where's that damn bird?
Right. Where's that fucking bird?
But I actually kind of love that as what my guides are saying is like, they go, this my guides. Oh my God. They're like, all jokes aside,
it might ruin your life.
They're just like, no, but they're just like, all jokes aside, what you're suggesting is a very smart, intuitive way for us to be, right? So like what I have been experiencing and what I'm creating is helping people who have kids and want to have kids to be intuitive with them, to be able to understand what their 2-year-old is really feeling, saying, thinking, right? And so this download is coming in, but they're saying like, we don't use our intuitive abilities enough. You know, when shit goes down, we still have a way to connect. we can send signs. Like, yeah, super chills on that. So they're just saying like, yes, she's being funny, but also like there's a truth to what she's saying, which is, maybe you pick your own symbol for your family, or you have some other ways of getting intuitive signs. And then what I like to also say is, and then like, make sure your shit's backed up and make sure you have surge protectors, and, like you have to do the physical things as well. Like the intuitive stuff comes and you can do stuff like that, symbols and stuff, but also like, don't neglect that you're in a physical world and that there are physical things to protect, Yeah. Cause that's what they're kind of saying is like, they're kind of saying like, don't be like spiritually dumb is what they're saying to me. Like, don't just be like, it'll all be okay. It's like, yes, think that and
get a hard drive.
Yeah, exactly. Back up your stuff, back up your passwords. Yeah. And I think the first Mercury retrograde is in mid-January.
Yeah, it's in Aquarius. So I think it's going to be hitting the collective pretty good. I think like I actually didn't pull this cyber attack out of my ass, and nobody else did either. So they have like this, I want to call it like a symposium.
Okay.
So in 2019, they had a symposium, a gathering, a meeting of the minds, and they mocked a pandemic, a COVID pandemic. In 2019, they mocked a pandemic, right? And then what happened? A pandemic. So this last year, that same group met and they mocked a cyber attack. So like we're not just saying this out of like, oh, it might happen. It might be cute. Maybe you'll cozy up with your partner. But like, also the reality is it actually really might happen. So like, get what you need to get in order. Talk to your family, have some kind of like an emergency plan if you need to.
Always good.
We talked to my in-laws and we were like, okay, if everything goes down, like we'll bring this and we'll meet here. Like we have like a central location to meet and like who's going to bring what. Like we just have like a plan for disasters.
I'll bring the snacks.
Right. Always good for snacks.
But yeah, I think in 2019, we bought those like emergency backpack bags because I have lived through a devastating earthquake, lost my home in it.
Yeah.
So I know this shit is real and it is important to have all this information, and it's like, it's always, you're always like, yeah, I'll get to that. And then it's always good to be prepared for that kind of stuff. So even if it's just a start of an emergency plan or something like that, it's worth doing. I like that.
I agree. And okay. So like, yes, cyber attack 2022, maybe, probably, but also I've been hearing a lot about my guys are like, don't call it Rapture. I'm going to call it Rapture.
Yeah.
This like grand solar flash that is projected to come in anywhere between 2021 and 2030. I don't like know if it's going to happen next year. I think they're still like arranging timelines and that sort of thing to try to like mitigate the damage it's going to do. But essentially I have heard that it's going to be like Rapture. Like people are literally going to be like beaming up out of their clothes and out of their cars. And there's just going to be like, cars jackknife and shoes everywhere. And there's going to be no people. And like biblically, I know this from growing up in the church, they say like, that's the second coming. That's when Jesus comes and he, takes all of his followers and not the sinners, they leave them here to rot on earth like bad apples. But
because, Jesus is that kind of guy.
But in reality, right. He's like so much nicer than that, guys. You're going up to ships. You're going up to alien ships. You're literally going to your like home ships to like help the earth ascend, and only the ones who can hold the light frequency of the new earth are going to be left here.
Ooh.
Also, like I think Mormons call it outer darkness. It's like the level of hell that all non-Mormons go to. That's like the worst level of hell. So basically earth is going to be like outer darkness. So cheers.
Wait, but the ones left are going to be able to hold the light? What does that mean?
They're going to be able to hold the frequency. So they're like these light workers, star seeds, like people who are going to be able to call in and create the new earth are going to be the ones that are left.
But we're going to be with a whole bunch of like jacked up cars and destruction and stuff, right?
Potentially. I think they're trying to, what my guys are saying is like, it's not all decided when it's going to happen yet, because they're trying to mitigate the damage that it could do.
What is a grand solar? What is it? A grand solar flash?
Solar flash. Okay. And I went in my records and I asked the sun, I called the sun's energy forward and I was like, what is this? And he was like, it's just a contract I have with the earth. Like, it's just literally supposed to it's contracted to happen. It's just, I think it's just going to be like a big, massive solar flare that just like knocks everything out.
Yeah. And like we follow like the Schumann resonance and we look at like the solar flares. And if you see those pictures of like the solar flare is bigger than the earth,
Yeah.
and you're like, holy crap. But
Yikes.
like, that, like, that's what affects things, right? That's what affects like the technology. Something that level could like blow us up. What they're kind of saying to me to help, this is cool, is light workers, please infuse the atmosphere. So if you do like grid work or planet earth work, or spend some time, kind of like what they're kind of saying is like your volunteer time as a light worker to just go and help heal things, please send stuff into the atmosphere for it to be strong and protected, so that we don't like succumb. And they're saying that we're here to recognize that we can like work with the energies, like work, even though we have contracts, we can do our best to show up as earth in the best way, even though this thing is going to happen. So like, how do we show up in the best way? And that we're going to be okay, because we're cleaning up stuff now anyway. We know how to clean stuff up now, and everything just has to fall, you guys. I'm sorry.
It just has to. It all has to crumble.
I mean, raise your hand if you like any of the structures right now. No maternity leave, trying to take away our abortion rights. Hell no.
Right. No,
thank you. No universal basic income, no healthcare.
Right. What? Student loans.
No. Yeah. Thanks, Biden, by the way.
Right.
All you can do is just with your magic wand, it's just.
Okay. Well, I heard like he was definitely not the best candidate for that, because he has like a very well documented history of voting against like student loan reform. He was like a key player in universities hyping up their prices 400%. So it wasn't going to happen.
They're like, sorry.
It wasn't going to happen.
Picked the wrong one. Okay. So we're going to prepare for the solar flash. We're going to get our emergency, situation in check, have our, communications, our partners. We're going to use intuitive signs and symbols. I like that.
Get connected to your intuition. If you are not already, there's like a giant call to getting intuitive, like tap into it now. You have to do it.
I am not joking. I am in sessions with clients. I'm like, you're psychic, you're intuitive, you're psychic, and a lot of people are like, yeah, and what they get these messages, and, they either disregard them, or they're like, they don't know where they come from, that kind of stuff. And so because it's not talked about maybe in their society, their group, whatever, they just ignore them. But it's kind of like, they're going to come on stronger. They're going to make them more clear for you. They're going to be more as intense as they can be. There's still subtle communication, so they're not going to be like, but
right.
They're going to be very like, that's very obvious that I saw these numbers or this symbol or this, this thing like so repetitively. Like what they're saying to me is like, you can't ignore it anymore. Like they're going to make it. Yeah. And like, why, guys? Like, hopefully what little Natalie and I are doing in our little corner of the world is kind of is like showing you like,
normalize
this stuff
it.
is happening. This is happening. This is what we experience. And we know you do too. And let's just come out and talk about it and normalize it, because that's what's needed, so that people can feel safe to express themselves. And because we need your info, people.
Yeah.
We need your intuitive hits. We need your guidance and wisdom. So
the world needs to know what you got to share. We got to know.
We got to know.
I think everybody has their own area of genius.
Ooh.
It's just that, like, obviously the school system does not help you hone in on that and capitalize on it.
What's your area of genius?
Jess, I don't know.
Everybody has an area of genius.
Like, I'm still figuring it out. I'm still like deconditioning. Yeah.
I think mine is
spirit babies.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like more granular than that. It's just like, whenever I do work, it's like, I can feel your deepest emotional pain.
There's that sensitivity, being a superpower.
Like even in my mediumship work, when I'm doing the practice sessions and stuff, everything that comes through, like when I look at a picture, I hold an object, I'm like, I can feel the pain. And I think my goal is to empathize with you, right? And to be like, that is a real pain. I feel it too.
Validate
I think that's why I allow myself to feel that, because on the other side, I get to feel like when somebody loves you, which is freaking incredible. But with the pain, I become sort of your guide and be like, let's get rid of this. Yeah, this is uncomfortable. This is yucky. And then when I hear from clients that they've moved it or shifted stuff, like, that's so amazing. So I think that's my gift.
I agree. I would say that your sensitivity is your
My
biggest gift.
superpower.
It is.
Okay. I've also been saying this lately. Do you feel like with gifts, I don't know how to explain this, but like, this is what the guides have been saying, because people are like, you have these gifts, but it's like with anything, maybe it can be like used in a wrong way. It can be manipulated. It can be, the sensitivity, if you're not aware of it, don't do the protections, whatever, can drain you, could be, right? So there's this like, even with gifts, you have to be aware of like how they can be misused, I guess is what they're saying to me, like to be aware of like the shadow side of your gift or the dark side of the moon, like, everything, even a gift comes with the yin and yang, the black and white, the light and the dark, and to work with it, and the darkness is there in your gift, if you will, to know when you're going too far, to know when you're overusing it, to know when you're being taken advantage of it. So if you have a gift, explore the other sides, and then how can you shore that up? How can you be aware of that? How can you protect yourself? But I've just been seeing those things lately. It's just like reminders for us, or like borders, like, oh, you're getting to the edge of this border, like, come on back,
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with you guys. I concur. I think
it's been interesting, the stuff that's been coming through lately.
I mean, we live in polarity, so
yeah,
it makes sense that there would be a polarized spectrum of gifts.
Yes. What else for 2022?
I guess, did we really talk about oh yeah, I think my guys are like commitment to creation.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about it. Let's see. I'm seeing a lot of rebuilding, but not necessarily until November.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like late 2022 is like the rebuilding. And I think you pulled a card for that. Yeah.
I did. Yeah. I pulled for seasons, and the first one was, spring season was 5 of Cups, which was just the big message of like forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others. Like, we have to learn that skill, is what they're saying to me. You have to learn how to forgive. Like, you think you forgive it and you say you forgive him, but you still holding on to it. Right. So really do it. It really is for you. Let it go. Learn, develop your own process to be like, this is how I need to let things go. Right.
So like I text spring. That's like first part of the year.
Spring. Right. And be like, don't cry over all the sad stuff. Like, remember that there's a bridge. You got to move over. You got to get over it. Like, they can't stress this enough, that like, be sad, but like, don't be sad forever. Don't dwell. Don't be like, my cups fill over. It's like, yeah, girl.
Feel it. Feel that sadness and then get over it.
Yeah, there's 2 cups behind you that aren't tipped. Pick them up, head over the bridge, pour some champagne, have a party. That's what I would do with my cups. Okay. And then the summer fucking high priestess.
Woo!
And she kind of comes in like, yeah, because once you've forgiven, once you've allowed it to flow, then you can be in that creating. And that's all your subconscious. That's your intuitiveness. Like, tap into that, do your subconscious work, create from a place of a clear subconscious is what they're saying. Create from a place of a healed subconscious, right? Come into your power, right? So give yourself some time to, get over shit and then create. But then fall, another 5, 5 of Wands, change, conflict, brainstorming. So you come out with this big idea and then be ready for the people.
Make it sustainable. Make it sustainable.
They're going to chatter, some of it's going to be helpful chatter. Some of it's going to be bullshit trolls. What's your plan for trolls, right? Because as we come out in this high priestess, we are a little bit afraid that people are going to be like, oh, you can't do that. Who do you? So what are you going to say to them, right? If you're being controversial, if you're saying things that people don't agree with, whatever, talking about aliens, what are you going to say to kind of like mitigate that? Or how are you going to ignore it? How are you going to block it? So just be ready that when you come out in this high priestess, that it's not, you're going to face some conflict, change, questions, but it's for your good. It's to help strengthen you. So be in that mode of, I'm ready. Bring it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. And then use your discernment to be like, great idea. I'm going to tweak that. That's a bunch of bullshit. You're a troll. Goodbye. Right. And then the end of the year, 9 of Wands. It's that one where he's like all battered and bruised. He's like standing there like fucking exhausted.
It.
Yeah. Because it's this feeling of like, what they're kind of saying is like, oh, you just thought you were like done and this was a thing. And then you have to make all these changes and you're just like, when will it ever be over? When will it ever be done? But again, what they keep saying is, this is a year to formulate stuff. This is a year to get things ready. You know, this is a year to create things and perfect things and get things ready for so much more to come. Like, you guys have a lot of life left to live. And we're so focused on one year.
Right.
It's like some years, a whole fucking year could just be planning for 3 years down the road. Right.
Sure.
And that's sometimes like hard to feel into, but please know they're saying that whatever you do this year, even if it feels like hard and a struggle and you're making it through, it will become easier and graceful, you know, in the years down the road. So to not give up, to keep going, and to do lots of love and self-care. So I feel like it's another, like what they kind of say is like restructuring type of year, right? Look at
what we've had the past couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah. 2020, this whole decade, man. Woo.
Woof.
I want a t-shirt in 2030. Is that, yeah. High math. I want a t-shirt that says like, I survived the last decade, because it's going to be intense, but in a good way.
If you're still here on earth with the rest of us sinners, then we'll get you a t-shirt. Us in outer darkness. All of us.
Welcome to my new group program, Outer Darkness.
It's called Outer Darkness. Maybe we should rename our podcast to Outer Darkness.
Maybe we will.
Maybe we will.
But those are the cards that I pulled. And you guys, it was funny because I pulled them and I was like, fucking fives. I hate fives in tarot. I hate them. And Natalie's like, why? And I'm like, because I don't like change and I don't like conflict.
Change. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. It's really hard. It's the lesson I'm learning right now. Impermanence, letting go. I mean, that's why I became a yoga teacher. It's why I do all the things. And so, but I'm here to learn it. I'm here for it.
I agree.
I want to be a master at letting go. Like, boop, let it go.
Your guides are like, careful what you wish for.
It's true. It's true.
I think that with the cyber attacks next year and this like commitment to creation, there's also going to be a lot of change, a lot of letting go. But I think the letting go is more of like, say you got your identity stolen. That was like the cyber attack. Everybody's identity got stolen. Everybody's information is out there in the world. What is that asking you to do? That's literally asking you to let go of that identity.
Ooh.
Just let it go. What are you really identifying with? Am I identifying as Natalie Hayes? Or like, am I identifying as like, well, I can be Natalie Hayes anytime, even if somebody else is pretending to be me. Like, I know that I'm really the authentic me. Like, what are you identifying with?
Yes. I got my identity stolen on Instagram.
Oh, that's right. You did. That's why all these scam accounts are coming up. I think it's just like priming for this like big cyber attack or something.
Yes. Well, there is already I think it's Russians and some other country in the Europe, Middle East kind of area that is doing these attacks, right? They're like making these fake accounts. I have seen it a lot in the spiritual community, like several astrologers I follow, I have been reached out to. And it was funny because I just started following this astrologer and then they messaged me and they're like, hi, dear one. And I didn't know their language. And so I was like, oh my God, so flattered. Totally missed that. Like nobody would do that. It's a scam, you know? And they take advantage of that. And it was funny because the messages I got, like, so many people messaged me, which was like really cool. But then several of my like really good friends were like, yeah, girl, you famous. You ain't famous till you've been hacked, you know, or you ain't famous till you had your Instagram like repeated. And I was like, well, you know, and I was like, did I call that in with my ego? Maybe a little bit. Right. But it was this feeling that like, it was over in a day, right? Like I got a ton of messages, people blocked it. The account no longer exists. But it was really funny because I have on my Instagram fully booked for 2021 and they wrote fully open for 2022.
Clever.
But
very clever.
You know, that identity of, I have actually been thinking about changing my Instagram name. I have been thinking about what platforms I even want to be on, you know, and I feel like there's very hostile energy right now on Instagram and with Facebook in general. Hello. So it just was like a very interesting timing to hear, and then to hear about the cyber attacks and stuff like that. It can be like, that's like a mild annoyance, you know, even kind of like lovely that you get to hear from people that you haven't heard from in a while. But then there can be like, yeah, the full on
bigger stuff. Yeah. So like basically release your identity. If all of your information gets stolen, move to Canada, start a new life.
Why Canada?
No. Seems nice. I like snow. I would go to Canada.
Seems nice. You do like snow?
And donuts. Isn't that like a thing, Tim Hortons?
It is. It's really good. I like Timmy.
So
Timmy's.
I was friends with a pharmacist, and then we'll wrap this up. I feel like it's been over an hour, but I was friends with a pharmacist at my last job when I worked in the ER in Aurora, and he was from Canada, and he was telling me like the province that he grew up in or whatever, there's more polar bears than people.
Oh yeah, Manitoba.
Ice skate to work.
Yeah.
This sounds like a fairy tale. Stop.
Just putting on the ice skates. Watch out for the polar bears.
I can romanticize living in Canada real quick.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with me is I want to live in a bunch of different places.
Same.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I am trying to create a life where I can live different places. So that's kind of my goal for 2022 is to
teleport.
Is to really continue to build my business in a way that is location independent. Yeah. So I can be in Canada. Eh?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope that we have filled your ears enough with 2022 energy. And we hope that you're not scared, but if you're scared, prepare, because that's the only way to mitigate fears, to be prepared. Do
it and tell us what you're doing. Yeah. And we're going to take a little break and we'll be back in the new year.
Yes, we will be back with season 2 TBD. We're going to see how we feel.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, this is it. Follow us on Instagram. We'll be showing up there in the new year after our cocoon time. And we're so excited to help walk you through this next year. Bye for now.
Bye for now. We said that at the same time.
We did.
That was cool.